course, is the most attractive highlight for us, right? Hey guys, it's Eric from Hong Kong based in Germany. I've been investing since I was 17 years old for almost 20 years. I want to give you guys alternative perspective about investing in Asian stocks as well as in personal finance. Today I want to talk about SPAC that I'm planning to buy in the coming days. If you have no idea what is SPAC, check out the video I made earlier. So what's so special about this particular SPAC? Because of some personal connection, I knew an ex-colleague who moved from Germany to Hong Kong specially to prepare for IPO for this company, which is potentially to be acquired by this SPAC. Spoiler alert, there's no insider information in terms of illegal information. It is an open secret that this particular company, which I consider to be a prime target of the SPAC that I'm going to buy, is planning to list in the coming 1 year or so in different kind of ways. Whether they are using SPAC or using other methods, that's something that I'm going to cover later in this video. It would not be a surprise if this company would be acquired by the SPAC that I'm looking at. Why? Because they have the same founder. Richard Lee is the chairman of PCCW, the biggest telecom company in Hong Kong, and the founder of Pacific Century Group. But most famous of all is that he's the son of Li Ka-shing, arguably the most famous billionaire in the Greater China region. He owns, for example, a big proportion of the share in Zoom, the video conferencing company, as well as a vast business empire spanning from real estate, retail, let alone that they are one of the biggest utilities provider, for example, water, energy, gas provider in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Hong Kong, and also in Canada. The important point is that Richard Lee is partnering with, guess who? Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal and Palantir, to form not one but two SPACs together. So Thiel is famous for being great at picking startups before the IPOs. He was the first outside investor in Facebook and also made early bets in Spotify and Airbnb and the likes. You can imagine his credibility in sourcing really great deals pre-IPO. If you do not know what is IPO, check out the link here. So today we're going to talk about their second SPAC, Bridgetown 2 Holdings, with a ticker of BTNB on Nasdaq. It was listed in January this year and raised $260 million. It looks for acquisition targets in Southeast Asia or even in South Asia, focusing on sectors in technologies, in financial services, and in media. The share price of Bridgetown 2 is now only $10.2, 2% up from its IPO price. If you have watched my other video about SPAC, you'll probably know that the IPO price is basically the safety net, because if the company couldn't find an acquisition target within 2 years, the worst case scenario is that they will give you back basically the $10 per share. Of course, it will also minus some fees, for example, administrative fees, but basically you will get more or less the $10 back. So I would say that the downside is pretty limited in this case. So how about the upside? First of all, as mentioned, the star-studded founders, Peter Thiel and Richard Lee. Peter Thiel, who either co-founded or invested early in the likes of Facebook, PayPal, Airbnb, Spotify, no doubt has a really strong credibility in investing pre-IPO companies, and Richard Lee has a really strong network in Asia in making deals, which means that the founder are a good combination of strong business instincts, abilities and experiences to execute deals, as well as strong network and good teams to make things happen. Secondly, there's one very obvious potential deal already on the table for Bridgetown 2, Richard Lee's FWD Insurance. So FWD Group was established in 2013 by Richard and has Swiss Re, which is one of the biggest reinsurance companies in the world, as the second biggest shareholder. It has $56.6 billion of assets under management. I mean, not particularly huge comparing with the big boys in the insurance industry. However, it has an exposure to very attractive markets in Hong Kong, in Macau, in Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore, Japan, and also they are planning to open in mainland China. Even though mainly through merger and acquisitions, the growth is nonetheless impressive, especially they're in such interesting markets. Put aside my personal knowledge of knowing someone who actually moved from Germany to Hong Kong in order to work for the deal to list FWD, it is an open secret that FWD want to be listed soon in the coming 1 year, in either one way or another. It was so open that even the mass media were talking about their joint underwriters are Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Having said that, I'm not saying that I'm 100% sure that FWD is going to merge with Bridgetown too. According to a number of media, there are a number of options for FWD insurance to be listed. The first option is doing an IPO in Hong Kong. The second option is doing an IPO in Singapore. The third option is to merge with a SPAC and to list in the US. The first option is a bit challenging. Richard Lee wants to have a dual-class shareholding structure. However, Hong Kong Stock Exchange does not encourage dual-class structure, and they only grant exceptions usually for technology companies only. So for option 2, Singapore has a stock market that is much less active as the one in Hong Kong, so it will be less attractive for FWD to raise money through listing in Singapore. And option 3, of course, is the most attractive highlight for us, right? There's actually one more interesting fact, is that Richard Lee is actually planning to have his third SPAC. The bad news is without Peter. If he's willing to start not 1, not 2, but 3 SPACs, that means that he has many pipelines of deals and he's very confident that he's going to seal them very soon. In summary, given that the share price now is only $10.2, which is only 2% higher than its IPO price, which is the safety net, the downside is not that big. However, the upside is great. It is star-studded founders like Peter Thiel and Richard Lee, which the former is the co-founder of PayPal as well as early investor in Palantir, in Facebook, in Spotify, in Airbnb, etc. And Richard Lee, who is very good at deal making as well as very strong network in Asia. So they have really strong foundation and opportunities with their founders. Moreover, they already have a backup deal like FWD Insurance, which matches the scope totally in Southeast Asia and in financial services. Let alone that Richard Lee is already starting his third SPAC. That means that he has many potential deals in his pocket and he's very confident to seal one of them very soon. It is pretty obvious that the upside potential outweighs the downside potential a lot. So what do you think about Bridgetown 2? Are you going to invest in it? Let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, remember to like it, share it, and subscribe. It would be a great encouragement for me to make more and better videos for you guys about personal finance and Asia stock.